everybody. Thank you, and thank you for being here at our second to last program of 2018. Just so you all know, this is our 55th program of the year. 55th program. Now you understand why I could be tired, and tomorrow I leave for our 56th program of the year, and our final program, which is in Columbia, South Carolina this year, and that will be taking place Saturday afternoon, and we have like 50 or 60 people coming to that program, so they all want to be there for MS Views and News. All right, so next up, I do want to thank the company that gave us the support to do tonight's program. I hope you all appreciate it as well, and that's Genentech. And you'll hear a little bit about Genentech later on. We hope that you appreciate what they did. We cannot do the educational programs that we are doing without the support of the pharmaceutical industry. They actually do want you to learn about everything that we provide at these programs. So we're hoping that you do appreciate what they do and what others do to help us out. Tonight's program is a little bit different. It's called Compass to Care. Okay, Compass to Care is where we're just trying to bring everything together without talking about the specific medications directly, but what involves in your care to do these, to live with multiple sclerosis. Our next speaker is a disability attorney, and her name is Lisa Gonzalez-Goetz. And she did not give me her bio, so I just have to wing it, all right? So I've known Lisa a lot of years, all right? And I've known that she's provided help for many people with multiple sclerosis in getting their disability. I know that she's been able to be a great speaker at many of our programs around the United States, and she's helped a lot of people outside of here as well. So I just want to welcome, and I hope you all do, to Lisa Gonzalez-Goetz. Now she's got to run up here. Okay. So, do you want handheld? Do you want to
Thank you.
thing?
I'm just. Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Happy, healthy New Year, 2017. My name is Lisa Gonzalez-Goetz. Stu does not need a bio. Many of you have seen me on some of the MS Views and News, talking for the previous years, always about the same topic, Social Security disability, and some of the changes. I've been doing this for 26 years. I'm actually across the street in Boca Raton. We handle cases nationwide. It's a firm owned by my husband and I. It's called Gonzalez-Goetz. Our website is We Get Your Disability. It's a little lingo catchy, but it's not spelled G-O-E-T-Z, it's G-E-T-S. So Stu asked me to talk today about some of the changes of Social Security and what they're doing for 2019. So I always start these talks with trying to find out a little bit about the audience and how many people are actually on benefits currently, by a raise of hand. Okay, how many people are currently trying to apply for disability and in the process? Okay. One of the major questions that I'm asked is when to apply for benefits. So I jotted down a couple things because the answers always change. But with MS specifically, it's very hard to know when to apply. The criteria is when you're not able to do any kind of work, and work is defined by 40 hours on a consistent basis, okay? So I would say that with MS, the time to apply is when you feel that it's very difficult to work a 40-hour work week. And the reason I'm saying that is because MS is progressive. And the process is a long process. As many of you know here in the room, by the time you're actually diagnosed with MS, you've been suffering for a while. You may have gone, like Dr. Steingo said, to a neurologist, to an orthopedist, to a dermatologist, to a urologist, psychiatrist, any of the its you can imagine. And before that, you were probably battling your own family and support network, indicating you didn't feel good. And people may have said it's in your head, or you're tired, you're not resting enough, or you're not eating right. So by the time you get a diagnosis of MS, most of the time the symptoms for yourself, at least personally, have been evident. So my suggestion is that you start gathering all of your medical records in terms of filing away, when did this start, how long have I been feeling this way. If you know anybody with MS, or any of your loved ones has it, or another patient in the doctor's office, find out how it's affecting you, because what disables you is not the diagnosis. What disables you is actually the symptoms. What prevents you from being able to work or be reliable on a sustained, continuous basis? Okay, so one of the main things is when to apply, I would say, before you begin to decompensate. Once you start decompensating, it's a progressive illness. You're lowering your bar of recovery. So you don't want to overshoot it and do it too fast, but you know it's a long process. How long is the process? Every year it differs. For 2019, projections are to be longer waiting times at the actual Social Security district office, longer waiting times over the phone, longer waiting times to file applications, to do your appeals, to get your hearings. There was a program running about 6-8 years ago where the stages of Social Security before you get to a hearing, you have an initial application and then a reconsideration, and then you request a hearing. And about 6 years ago, Social Security decided that, or Congress decided, they were going to try a test program where certain states were going to cut the middle process, which was the reconsideration, and they were going to do the initial, and if you got denied, they were going to speed you up to the request for hearing level. And that program has failed. And now they have re-implemented in the states where they took the program away, they have re-implemented the reconsideration stage. So you can bet that you're going to be applying, most often denied, and file a reconsideration, most often denied, and filed a request for hearing. The request for hearing process is also delayed, and it's also increasing in terms of how long before I've filed for disability, I've done the appeals, and now I'm just waiting to go in front of a judge. That delay can be 1.5 years, depending on your local office. Okay, there are pilot programs in the nation where there's a lot of hearing officers, mostly in Maryland, DC, Virginia, taking hearings by video in an effort to expedite and kind of help the population with dense populations and low judges to turn around and ship it out to other cases so that we can take the hearings faster, but they are delayed. And I would venture to guess that in addition, the cases denied by administrative law judges is also increasing. Okay, many people end up going back to work because the delays are so substantial. Every time you go to work, you are raising a flag. You're showing that you're able to do some kind of work, and then Social Security, you've opened the door, and Social Security can now investigate how many hours are you working, how many days a week, how much you're getting paid, how consistently you're showing up, how many absences, and whether or not you or your employer are actually keeping your hours low purposefully so that you can double dip. Some of the major dismissals that are going on now at the request for hearing is because of work. So the amount of work right now for 2018 is $1,180 per month. If you make that much money, it's considered substantial gainful work activity. For 2019, it's gone up to $1,220. I will tell you, if you're anywhere close to these numbers, it's red flagged. And that's per month. So what do you do if you're thinking of applying for disability? What advice would I give anybody, it would be round up your support group, your family, your friends, your environment. Round up your financial planner. Look and see what are your retirement, your savings. Try to get yourself in the frame of mind that you are going to need support. You are going to need help. You are going to need to know that this is going to take a while. Unfortunately, the only cases where you can expedite a hearing are if you are about ready to lose your home and ready to be evicted. You have to show proof. Once you're evicted and you're homeless, you can't expedite. The other reason is if you are in the process where you've been diagnosed with something that's likely going to take your life, we can expedite it. Once you've passed, it goes back into the line. So the reason I'm saying this is so that you can get as much help and as much support so that people are behind you with the application process. The application process requires a lot of form filling out. They only give you 10 days to fill out 3 forms, each form 10 pages long. And if you don't complete them within 10 days, your case may be closed for lack of compliance. So friends, families, help to fill it out, absolutely. A lot of people ask me, when should I hire a lawyer? My answer would be, before you even think of filing, get the advice of a lawyer, get the support, get them to file for you and to take care of most of the paperwork that comes. That creates less anxiety for you, because having the illness, having an inability to work, having issues with regulating your body, regulating your food, your social environment, all that is enough on its own. Social Security process takes care of itself. And lawyers in this area of law are very limited in what they can charge. They are not able to charge you unless they win, and they only have a cap of $6,000 no matter how much money they get for you. Okay, so it's a win-win situation, because if you win something, it's 25% of whatever you receive, and it's capped at $6,000. So at least that is one less headache that you have to do. If you're looking for a lawyer, of course, we're always available, but I would say make sure that their practice is exclusive or limited to Social Security disability. Too many attorneys out there, too many want to dabble, too many take a couple cases here or there, but you really know that your attorney is only handling these cases, then they can handle your case all the way up if need be. They know the changes in the law, the nuances. Very, very important. And that's true of anyone. If you have a cardiac condition, you're not going to go to an orthopedist. So in the law, we don't think of it that way, but I would recommend that for anything in the law. To work or not to work, we talked about that. A couple of other changes is this is the first time since 2012 that there's been an increase with Social Security, and you're going to see a 2.8% increase in payments in 2019. The age of retirement is also going up to 66 and a half, so 66.6 months is going to be the new age of retirement. The waiting periods are increased. Another little quick thing that I want to talk to you about are the video hearings. So I think it was about 6 years ago, Social Security implemented VTCs, which are video teleconferencing centers, where you can have video hearings and your judge can be remote, your attorney can be remote, the client can be remote, or a combination thereof. It's up to the judge to see whether or not they approve it. What it does is it streamlines your case and it can expedite your case. So my mother-in-law always says to me, why would a person in Philadelphia come to an attorney in Florida? That makes no sense. And with video telephone conferencing, the benefit is that you can get the most experienced attorney anywhere, and you can streamline it where you don't have to wait for a hearing in your local office. Now these hearings can be done nationwide, and it can shave a lot of the wait time for you. So that's one of the biggest reasons. This year in 2019, there's a proposal right now in front of Congress, and the proposal is to no longer let the judges decide whether or not they approve the VTCs, because right now the client can wish to have an attorney who's not present at the hearing, but the judge can say no. So, for example, you live remotely in Alaska, you need an attorney present with you if you want an attorney from another place, or your only attorney and your only help would be an attorney in your rural area. Right now, the judges decide whether or not they approve it, so I fly oftentimes across the nation wherever there's a great case or cases that are not approved because it's federal law. So the law is currently starting to change. According to the new proposal, they are going to make it at the discretion of the client. Okay? So it may not seem like a big shift, but it is a big shift because it may actually shorten a lot of the wait times. And it used to be that in your hearings, you would have a medical expert, a vocational expert. The medical expert could be a physical doctor or a psychiatrist, and the vocational expert is there to talk about whether or not they feel that your condition merits the listing of disability. So now, in the last few years, these people are appearing by phone, which is very, 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 very troublesome. Because what essentially it's saying is you don't know if a person is listening, if they're on their phone. Some people say they could be in their bathtub taking a video conference. There's no authenticity as to whether or not the person hearing you over the phone is actually a doctor. And it's a little bit of a crapshoot. So one of the changes the administration has done is that they have completely allowed any medical doctor, any vocational expert to appear by phone, relinquishing the ability for them to actually observe you and make a proper determination. So let's say you come in and you have a problem ambulating, your gait is affected, you have an assistive device, that person over the phone has absolutely no idea. Unless your advocate, your attorney is saying, this is happening and this is happening, and the person is here to observe and talk about. So the law's really, really changing. Some of it is favorable, some of it is not, some of it we're just waiting and seeing. But it's really important to roll with the times, and that really means rolling with the administration, with the current administration and what changes they make and how they process, and then we roll with them and do the best that we can for the clients. We're going to open this for Q&A, but Stu's not here yet, so I can keep talking about the changes. Oh, okay, here he is. But he's eating, so I can keep talking. I actually don't get paid by the word. I can keep talking. Keep talking? Okay. So another thing about the Social Security that is also more and more and more prevalent has to do with the mental impairments. Cognitive function, like Dr. Steingo was talking about, the inability to recall, remember detailed instructions, the milligrams that you may have on your medication, the doctor that you saw, or the address of the doctor that you saw. So one of the things Dr. Steingo was talking about that I suggest to all my clients is, as you're going to your doctors, everybody now has a smartphone, pretty much everybody. There's a dictating. You could just press a button, try to get used to that button, and just dictate where you've been, the date of your visit, what the doctor told you. Recall. Ask the doctor, can I record this conversation? Record the questions as they come up for you, so that when you're in front of your doctors, you can actually bring up all those questions in one, because you're going to be sitting there going, wait a second, I forgot I had one more thing. And they're like, well, sorry, I have another patient waiting. And there goes your opportunity. So the cognitive deficits, the abilities to recall and remember, are actually what prevents people from working. It's not the physical disabilities. It's actually completely the opposite. There are plenty of people with many, many physical disabilities that are able to work, right? The ADA is supporting that. So now there's a new movement, and I personally agree with the movement, is that disability is not the same as a disabled person. So I think the term was a disabled non-worker versus a disabled person. You could be disabled and be a worker and earn money, and we know plenty of people that are blind or deaf or in wheelchairs or have MS and work successfully. The issue that prevents you from working is the ability to manage your disability. It's the ability to manage, the ability to recall, remember, be reliable in an environment where people are expecting you at a certain hour. That cuts probably 40% of employment. The other part that cuts employment is not just the reliability, is what I was just talking about, the recall, the ability to remember. So let's say that I'm working from home and I don't have a 9-to-5 job. That's okay. But if I'm working from home at my own convenience and I want to work the hours between 8:30 at night and 2 a.m. because that's just what works best for me. The mornings I lag, then I'm worrying about going to my doctor appointments. Now it's late, now I'm working. Can I recall? Can I remember? Am I still reliable? When I tell people I'm going to send you an email, I'm going to respond to your concerns, will you get that response? That's where we lose clients. That's where we lose people in the workforce. So as you get diagnosed with MS, many times these problems have been happening for a while. We've been covering it up for a while. We've been able to kind of like overcompensate, but it's exhausting. We deteriorate. We start lowering the bar on how refreshed we feel, and that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. So I would say cognitive ability, the ability to recall, the depression, the anxiety that comes with trying to overcompensate and cover, that is really one of the most disabling factors in any impairment. And we see it a lot with MS patients prior to diagnosis. So don't wait necessarily till you're diagnosed. Always communicate with your doctor. Get the advice and the help from your doctor, because your doctor is the one that's going to help you complete forms and ultimately help you win the case. Any advocate like myself, I mean, I'm an attorney, I'm not a doctor. I need those tools that are the medical records, the progress reports, the MRIs, the CT scans, all the objective evidence to be able to use that to litigate and win a case. If you're one of the lucky few, like somebody I spoke to earlier today that got their case won right away, that's wonderful. We're seeing a little less and less of that. So that's very important to keep in mind. Thank you, Stu. You're
welcome.
up.
You're great.
Thank you.
Everybody want to thank Lisa?
Thanks.
So again, questions. Anybody have a question for Lisa? Anybody have anything to begin? There we go. Hold on. Anybody else have a question? Please raise your hand. Let me acknowledge and I'll get to you.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Who does the red flagging? And if you are red flagged because you're making money, are you available to get involved in that? Or is a person on their own?
So who does the red flagging is Social Security. It's kind of arbitrary. They're looking for the numbers, okay? So if you're already on benefits, there's no formula, and they're not really announcing how you get red flagged. But in my experience, the people that get red flagged are younger individuals who have started earning over the amount of $700 a month. Those would be a red flag. Who's actually pulling it? IRS. I mean, you have to have monies for which you're paying into the Social Security, into FICA. So if you're working under the table, that would not be red flagged. If you do get red flagged, what do? You better make sure that that employer shows your absences, the inability to be consistent at your job, the inability to work more even if the hours are provided. Would I be available? I would never get paid for everybody who tries to go to work. However, I'm always available to help the MS community. So anybody can email me, call me, and I'll be happy to render an answer and give you advice. The biggest problems are people that work on a continuous basis. These amounts continue month to month, and then the government catches up with you. Like we said, they're very delayed. So years later, they'll catch up with you and they'll say, oh, we saw that you were working in 2014, 15, 16, and now you're charged with a huge overpayment, sometimes in excess of $100,000. So, these are really, really hard issues, and the hardest thing is that if your benefits get cut, your Medicare and your Medicaid goes with it. So I would say, when I say red flag, and if you were to go through all the speeches that I've given, I always bring that up because I see it on a daily basis.
Going back to what you're speaking about, do they go off after seniors as much as they do people younger, that are on disability?
So the answer is I don't believe so. Because the cases that call me, unless most of them are younger people, the calls I get are mostly younger people looking to see, and younger, I mean under 54, under 55, under 54. Those are the people that call with overpayments. That's what they're classified as. Okay.
Once you go to the process of going to court, let's say they rule against it, is there another process, or that's it, you're done?
So that's a very good question. And I hate to tell you, I'm your attorney, so I hope we don't go that way. But I will tell you that when you go in front of a judge, you have the ability to appeal if it's a denial. The person who appeals is as good as the attorney you have. I have met people that have done this for 20 years and have never once appealed an ALJ denial. When you appeal that, it's a written brief that gets submitted. It gets submitted to Virginia, essentially the boss of the judge, and there's a huge analysis that goes into whether or not the judge committed an error. If the judge committed an error and it comes back to the same judge. So egos prevail. It can be a little bit uncomfortable. But the goal is to come back to the same judge to show them where they made the mistake. A third brief would come back to another judge, but they give them an opportunity. After that, if the appeals council were to deny the request for review, then you go into federal court. And that's as good as the attorney. You have to be licensed. And yes, there's plenty of appeals to do after that.
There are people that have contacted me that have said that they received something in the mail from Social Security. They're on Social Security disability, but they received something in the mail from Social Security asking them to go back to work. And they just take the paperwork. I've heard from 2 and 3 people. They just take it, rip it up, and throw it out. They're afraid to answer it because they're afraid if they even attempt to work again, then when they say that their body gave out, that they're afraid that Social Security is going to say, hey, you were able to work then, so let's start the process again. What do you say about that?
What say you? I say that there are several states that have work programs. Some have study programs where if you're going to be receiving some sort of welfare during the process, they urge you to work. So in order to receive welfare dollars, you have to either go to school and earn a certain amount of credits or go back to work. What to do with that request? I've seen it both ways. If you throw out the form into the garbage, it may affect your welfare benefits, but not, so that's at a state level, not at a federal level. If you do go to work, you are paying federal income taxes, so that raises a red flag. So, but I've seen it in several states, some more than others.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody have a question? Okay. Well, thank you, Lisa.
I'd like
Yep,
to
you
say
got-
one more thing.
Go
Yes.
ahead. Is that a
Okay?
question?
Not a question.
Okay. You can say it anyway.
So I was explaining to somebody earlier in the program that as an attorney, we are trying to always evolve with the changes in the law. And we have always tried to get Social Security benefits and get you your Medicare, your Medicaid, right? Once we get it, that was great. Clients start calling us, when do I get my Medicare card? What does it cover? And we've always had our hands tied and not really know what to do with it. So at this point, we've been able to extend the practice, not the legal practice, but a healthcare insurance practice in certain states only. And the benefit of it is really to find out how we can give our clients the best service with their impairments and make sure that their doctors are being covered under their plan, just the same way Dr. Steingo said. We can talk about medication, we can talk about it, what's best for you, but really the bottom line is coverage. So I just wanted to throw that out there and let everybody know that since this is what we do, and many of you are already receiving benefits, please respond to Stu, make comments, let him know how else I can provide some assistance for you in the future, because I don't want to just give the same repetitive information. I want to try to be progressive and give you an information that will actually help. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.